Upon waking in a hotel room, Emily discovers an inert figure beside her without displaying any distress. Unfazed, she examines her own reflection in the mirror, revealing a knife wound on her abdomen. Unperturbed, she contemplates the familiar act she must undertake. Later, she dismembers the body and disposes of the pieces in garbage bags, destined for a nearby barn. All evidence is incinerated, and the resulting ashes are concealed in a dug hole. Returning to town, Emily immerses herself in self-discovery at a cafe, seemingly unaware of her own life. Back at home, she resorts to smoking to maintain composure. Unexpectedly, her boyfriend James arrives, irate over her 3-day disappearance and unanswered messages. Having alerted the police twice, he attempts to contact them again despite Emily's efforts to soothe him with affection. In desperation, Emily opts to fatally wound him with a corkscrew, causing instant death. She proceeds to conceal his wrapped body in the basement, meticulously cleaning the area and laundering to eliminate any traces of blood. Additionally, she ingests a substantial amount of medication. The following morning, Emily is astonished to witness her body decaying unexpectedly. Soon after, Detective Freddy arrives at her residence, becoming suspicious of her return without James's notification. As he probes with questions, Emily suggests sharing coffee, and in a moment of distraction, she seizes Freddy's hand, absorbing his life force. It's revealed that this isn't truly Emily but a shape-shifting entity that eliminates others to acquire their bodies. The eerie figure discovered in the hotel was the authentic Emily, and the shapeshifter has now assumed the identity of Freddy, leaving the genuine cop's lifeless body desiccated. Delighted to wield authority this time, Freddy rehearses stating his name and inspects the firearm. Subsequently, he uses a hammer to extract the teeth from the body for anonymity, dousing the entire house in gasoline. While exiting, he encounters a delivery man, appropriates the food without payment, and departs in the detective's vehicle. Despite the delivery man's attempt to intervene, the house ignites at that moment. Moving on, Freddy visits local dealers who recognize him as the corrupt cop aiding them. He pilfers some euphoric substance, consuming it to stall the creature's decomposition, which requires medicine. Later, Freddy patronizes a bar, patting the dog at the entrance that unfailingly recognizes him, irrespective of the body he inhabits. Seated at the bar, Freddy orders a drink for Julia, surprising her with his knowledge of her favorite. He playfully claims psychic abilities, but the truth is, he frequents this bar in different bodies, observing Julia's nightly solo visits. Engaging in conversation, they quickly connect, moving to the alley for a passionate kiss. Suddenly, Freddy experiences abdominal pain, prompting panic as he urges Julia to leave. Realizing the wound is from Emily's body, he frets, as injuries have never jumped bodies with him. Clutching his wound, he walks down the street, using his police badge to confront a couple in a car. Rachel is promptly ousted, but Freddy compels Sam to stay, seizing his body. Despite Sam's resistance, the creature prevails. The new Sam takes the car to a secluded spot, intending to obliterate the body with a hammer. However, a call from his wife interrupts the process, asking him to return. Returning home to his family, Sam quickly discerns their strained relationship. The following morning, a child's exuberance awakens him, prompting an inadvertent outburst as the lingering pain from the wound persists. Disregarding his family, he rushes to his office, discovering Rachel as the receptionist. A recollection reveals Sam's past harassment, and Freddy intervened when Rachel rebuffed him. As a dentist, Sam continues treating patients, given the creature's previous experience in a dentist's body. At lunch, Sam is astonished to spot Julia on the street. Attempting to follow her in a taxi proves futile, as the driver recognizes it as stalking and refuses. Opting for distraction, he attends a solo movie outing. Evening brings a family dinner, exacerbating his melancholy as he struggles to recall anything from before his body-jumping endeavors. Haunted by an unsettling urge to kill, Sam fixates on the knives. Seeking solace in alcohol to cope with his mood, he heads to the bar, disregarding his family's pleas. Seated next to Julia, he acknowledges seeing him with Rachel and confesses to the dismal state of his marriage, expressing a desire for some carefree moments. In return, Julia discloses her past life with a husband and a son who succumbed to a severe illness at the age of 3, straining her marriage for years. She recounts a night when her husband surprised her with a romantic dinner, rekindling joy and laughter. However, the following morning, Julia awoke to find her husband vanished without a trace. After sharing a drink, Sam, noticing signs of decay, bids a hasty farewell to Julia and seeks refuge in a motel, resorting to more euphoric substances. Feeling the rapid spread of decay a few hours later, Sam becomes anxious, realizing the urgent need for a new body. Apologizing to Rachel for past events, he requests her assistance, claiming to be unwell. Rachel promptly arrives at the motel after his call, finding a dark room. Cautious, she approaches the bed, only for Sam to seize her, transferring into her body with heightened pain. The new Rachel observes the desiccated body on the bed, takes more medicine, and realizes the abundance available. A call from her boyfriend prompts her to fabricate an excuse for her nocturnal departure. Come morning, Rachel transports the dismembered body in bags to the barn for incineration and concealment. However, a neighbor spots her, inquiring about the barn's owner and mentioning a peculiar odor in the vicinity. It's hinted that the creature had previously inhabited the owner's body and discarded it. Silent and swift, Rachel drives away without uttering a word, returning to the dentist's office. Using her employee key, she pilfers a quantity of medicine and heads to her apartment, frequently taking doses in the hope of halting the onset of decay. In the evening, she dresses up and heads to the bar, oblivious to her boyfriend Tommy observing her departure. Greeted by the familiar dog, she joins Julia, who recognizes her as Sam's date. After conversing, Julia, noting Rachel's melancholic eyes, offers her business card, revealing she's a counselor available to listen. As Julia steps away, John takes her seat, attempting to woo Rachel. Initially indifferent, Rachel spies on Julia's interaction with Robert. However, a TV broadcast implicates her as the prime suspect in the barn case, prompting her to accept John's advances to escape. Returning to her apartment, they indulge in euphoric substances, but when John becomes forceful after Rachel rejects his advances, the situation takes a troubling turn. Fending off John, Rachel hastily reaches for a knife to counterattack, but he adeptly disarms her. Undeterred, she smashes a bottle on his head and tackles him to the ground, allowing John to seize the knife. Attempting to retaliate, he faces Rachel's relentless assault with a lamp, and she regains control of the knife. Despite being stabbed once, John tries to escape downstairs, only for Rachel to pursue him, repeatedly stabbing him in the corridor. Returning to her apartment, she gathers necessities for escape but discovers a neighbor calling the police as she exits. In a hurried attempt to flee, she's spotted by the cops outside but manages to outrun them, finding refuge in an old garage for the night. Waking up the next morning, she notices her skin already deteriorating, alongside missed calls from her boyfriend Tommy. Unexpectedly, Tommy appears at the garage, having tracked her phone, seeking an explanation for her media portrayal. In response, Rachel strikes him with a bat and swiftly makes her getaway. Attempting to pursue her, Tommy remains unaware as Rachel hides in the back of a truck, grappling with abdominal pain. The urgency for a new body grows, but she avoids taking Tommy's to avert police scrutiny. Realizing time is limited, Rachel visits the address on Julia's business card, hoping to disclose the truth. However, she finds Julia in a meeting with Robert, stirring jealousy. With her arms rotting expelling pus, Rachel decides to shadow Robert instead. Trailing him to his house, she assumes a delivery guise, swiftly killing Robert upon his door's opening. Post-mortem, Robert makes a call, confessing his feelings to Julia, who agrees to dine at his place. That night, they share pleasant moments, and Julia acknowledges a strange familiarity about Robert without being able to explain it. Flirting and escalating the evening, Robert and Julia move into more intimate territory. Discovering the wound on Robert's abdomen during an intimate moment, Julia urges him to address it, but he persuades her to overlook it, leading to a passionate night. Julia and Robert subsequently embark on a happy relationship, enjoying dates, fun, and intimacy. Content with what he has, Robert refrains from seeking a new host, taking care of the last body by disposing of it in the river and consistently taking medicine. However, Julia stumbles upon news of 6 deaths in town, recognizing them as people she met at the bar. Robert comforts her, promising protection. One night, he notices rotting on his hand and experiences abdominal pain, prompting him to finally admit the truth. Confessing to Julia, Robert recounts his earliest memory from 1954 when, as a child, he inadvertently killed his mother by taking over her body. Uncertain about his identity and the existence of others like him, he recalls feeling his mother's pure love in her body. Since then, he's been transferring from one body to another, never encountering a love as pure as the day he inhabited Julia's husband. Unknown to Julia, he orchestrated the romantic night, regretting having to part ways the next morning. Consistently returning to the bar in varied bodies, he attempts to reconnect with her. Initially skeptical, Julia breaks down when he details the romantic night, prompting her to retrieve a taser from her bag. Though Robert swears his love and pledges not to harm her, Julia's fear prevails, and she incapacitates him with the taser before delivering a few punches. In a desperate bid to survive, Robert touches her, seizing her body. Devastated by the act of killing the woman she loves, Julia seeks solace at the bar, expressing gratitude to the barman. That night, Julia refrains from body jumping, allowing the rotting to consume her. To her surprise, instead of succumbing to death, her power manifests a peculiar cocoon where she remains throughout the night. In the morning, the creature emerges from the cocoon resembling an old man covered in wounds, presuming this to be the authentic self. Perplexed by the situation, he heads to the park for contemplation, and shortly afterward, the dog accompanies him. Feel free to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Your support is greatly appreciated.